Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a really fascinating idea that seems to be popping up more and more. Dopamine decor.
Right?
The basic idea is that our homes, they aren't just, places we live. They're kind of extensions of how we feel inside.
Yeah, and they can actually influence how we feel.
Exactly.
hmm
So the big question we're tackling, based on the info you sent over, is this. Can we genuinely make ourselves happier by, well, consciously choosing our home decor?
That's really the heart of it. Dopamine decor, it's kind of a swing away from that very calm, maybe minimalist vibe
Correct.
towards creating spaces that actually trigger, dopamine release, that feel-good chemical in the brain.
Through the things we choose to put around us.
Precisely. So think less beige, maybe, and more bold colors that might even surprise you, patterns that maybe don't match in the traditional sense, but somehow work together happily.
And those personal things, too.
Oh, definitely. Those little treasures that just instantly make you smile when you see them.
Right. So instead of aiming for that perfectly serene, maybe even neutral space, this is more about intentionally breaking some design rules.
Kind of, yeah. It's about curating a home that really genuinely sparks joy for you.
So we might be talking about, like, a really vibrant, unexpected color for a sofa.
Could be. Or mixing textures and prints in a way that feels really energetic.
Or maybe finally displaying that, I don't know, quirky souvenir from a trip that always makes you laugh.
Yes. And really showing off the art or photos that actually mean something personal.
Okay. So our goal for this deep dive is to unpack what dopamine decor actually is. Maybe why it's become so popular lately.
And crucially, what the potential link is between this way of designing your home and, well, our overall happiness, based on the articles and research you shared, of course.
Let's start with the why then, the science bit. How do our surroundings affect us?
Well, it might feel obvious, but there's actually a field called environmental psychology that digs right into this.
Right.
And what's really interesting with dopamine decor is how it seems to tap into some key psychological ideas, like color psychology, for instance.
Okay, tell me more.
You shared some material talking about how bright colors, yellows, oranges, they're often linked to feelings of happiness, energy.
Uh-huh.
What's fascinating is some studies suggest warm yellows might even trigger phenylethylamine, a brain chemical linked to, like, excitement, infatuation.
Wow, okay. That's a pretty direct link to that joy feeling, more than just general happiness.
Exactly. It's not just a vague association.
And it's not only about what we see, is it? The information you provided also talks a lot about lighting.
Oh, hugely important. There's a really strong connection between getting enough natural light and our brain producing serotonin and dopamine.
The mood regulators.
Precisely. Key neurotransmitters for mood, for feeling good.
Okay.
So letting more natural light in, that can have a real measurable impact on how happy we feel at home.
Definitely makes you rethink those blackout curtains.
Doesn't it just? And then there's this related idea, biophilic design.
Which is about nature.
Yeah, basically our inbuilt connection to the natural world. The thinking is bringing elements of nature, indoors, plants, wood, maybe even water features or images can actually lower stress.
And improve focus.
Enhance mental clarity, yeah. So that houseplant you were thinking about might be doing more for your head than just looking nice.
It's amazing how these things connect. And then there's the really personal aspect.
Personalization, yes. The material really hammers this home, creating spaces that truly reflect who we are, our history. It builds this sense of comfort.
Belonging.
And belonging, exactly. It's like your home becomes a physical storybook of your life.
So dopamine decor, whether people think about it this way or not, it seems to be leveraging these established ideas about how our environment shapes our mood.
Spot on, through creative self-expression, essentially.
So where did this specific term dopamine decor actually come from? When did it start?
Well, it really started gaining steam in the early 2020s. And interestingly, it kind of happened alongside dopamine dressing in fashion.
Ah, okay. Similar idea, but with clothes.
Exactly. It suggests maybe a broader cultural thing happening, a collective need for more vibrancy, more positive stimulation after a pretty tough period for a lot of people.
That makes total sense. The articles you shared sort of frame it as a reaction against those, quote, gray, sterile environments many of us were in during lockdowns.
Right. Suddenly those calm, neutral palettes might have started feeling a bit, well, bleak.
Suffocating even.
Yeah. And there was this pent-up desire for something more lively, more uplifting.
And I guess social media played a big role.
Oh, absolutely. You can't really ignore platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest here. They were like fuel for the fire.
How so?
You had influencers, designers, even just regular people showcasing these really maximalist, colorful, joyful homes that kind of give everyone else permission, you know?
Permission to break the rules.
Yeah, to step outside those maybe more traditional, sometimes quite restrictive design norms and just embrace what made them feel happy.
Like seeing visual proof that it's okay to have fun with your space. And the sources also mentioned the bigger picture, too, the post-COVID focus on mental health, on wellness.
Exactly. It's only logical we'd start looking at our immediate surroundings, our homes, and asking, how can this space actually support my emotional needs better?
Okay, so let's get specific. What are the core elements? What does dopamine decor look like?
Well, the material you send over paints a pretty vivid picture. First off, bold, joyful colors. We're talking hot pinks, sunshine yellows, turquoise blues, emerald greens.
Definitely not playing it safe with beige then.
Not really, no. And then there's this embrace of mixing patterns,
Mhm.
eclectically.
I like the sound of that, like polka dots with stripes.
Why not? Or leopard print next to florals.
Yeah.
The sources suggest it's about being a bit adventurous, seeing what combinations spark that feeling of happiness for you.
Okay.
And maybe one of the most important parts, I think, is the focus on sentimental objects.
Things with stories.
Exactly. Items that carry personal meaning, that bring back good memories. That little thing you picked up on a trip, a gift someone made for you, they become really central.
So your home becomes like a tangible map of your positive experiences. And
Yeah.
this carries over into art and decor pieces too.
Yeah, playful art, whimsical bits and pieces, furniture that makes a statement, maybe starts a conversation, fun accessories that just make you grin.
Fun. And texture seems important too.
Oh yes, textures galore. The sources talk about velvet, shaggy rugs, maybe glossy tiles. It's about engaging more than just sight, adding layers of interest, both visual and tactile.
Nice.
Plus, bringing nature in is key. Actual plants, floral wallpaper, natural wood, linen. That biophilic connection again.
And if you're crafty.
Perfect.
Yeah.
DIY projects, upcycled furniture, anything you've personalized or given a new life fits right in, makes it even more uniquely yours.
Okay, so the big one. Can surrounding ourselves with all of this, bright, personal, maybe slightly chaotic stuff, actually make us happier?
Well, the research rightly points out happiness is, subjective. It's different for everyone.
Sure.
But what's interesting is the growing evidence suggesting there is a tangible positive effect on mood, on mental well-being, when we deliberately curate our spaces in this way.
It seems to really come down to that personal expression aspect, doesn't it?
I think so. The sources highlight how designing a space that feels truly you builds that sense of ownership and, importantly, emotional security. There's real comfort in being surrounded by colors and things you genuinely connect with.
And just the immediate hit. Seeing a favorite color when you walk in a room.
Exactly. Or catching sight of that memento that reminds you of a great time. It can be a small but constant little emotional boost throughout your day.
And the visual stimulation itself is doing something, right, according to the info you shared.
Yeah, our brains are kind of wired to notice novelty and color. So by creating spaces that are visually rich, maybe a bit unexpected, dopamine decor is essentially tapping into how our brains naturally work.
It engages us.
It does. And beyond that, think about how this whole approach encourages creativity, playfulness, expressing yourself. Research actually links those qualities, creativity, playfulness, self-expression, to things like better psychological resilience and just more feelings of joy overall.
So your home becomes a sort of playground for your personality.
That's a great way to put it. A playground, a canvas.
But there's a flip side. The sources warned about that too.
Yes, a very important caution. That this isn't for everyone. All that color and pattern and stuff, it could feel overwhelming for some people.
Or even anxiety-inducing.
Potentially. The material really stresses finding your balance. It has to reflect your own comfort level, what feels good to you, not just follow a trend.
Okay, so that leads us to practicalities. If someone listening is thinking, okay, I want to try this, what are some good first steps?
The sources suggest starting small is often best. You don't have to redo your whole house overnight.
Shoo. Okay, like what?
Maybe add one really bold cushion to your sofa, or hang a piece of colorful art you love, or find one statement chair in a bright hue.
That feels doable.
Yeah.
And the mixing and matching advice?
Yeah, embrace it. Don't be afraid to mix styles, time periods, patterns, see what clicks.
Yeah.
It's part of the fun, finding your unique blend.
And focus on the story.
Absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
Choose things that mean something to you, that bring back good feelings. That's what makes it authentic.
Not just buying stuff because it looks dopamine decorish.
Exactly. And remember balance. The sources remind us you can always ground the bright, bold stuff with some neutral elements so it doesn't feel totally overwhelming.
Good point. And maybe the simplest advice is just use what you love.
Pretty much. Forget trends for a second. What colors, textures, objects genuinely make you happy? Start there.
And lighting.
Don't forget lighting, experimenting with warmer bulbs, maybe adding some fun string lights, or even a playful neon sign if that's your thing. It can really shift the mood.
Okay. But what about potential downsides? Things to avoid.
Good question. The sources flag a few common pitfalls. One is definitely overcrowding.
Too much stuff.
Yeah, too many bold things crammed together can just end up feeling cluttered, visually noisy, and that can actually increase anxiety. So curation is key, being intentional.
Right. Less can still be more, even in a maximalist style. And don't forget function.
Absolutely. Your home still needs to work for everyday life. Aesthetics shouldn't completely trash usability. You still need to be able to, live in it comfortably.
Makes sense. What else?
Maintaining some kind of cohesion, even if it's eclectic, there should probably be something tying it together.
Like-
Maybe a recurring color palette, even if used in different ways. Or a consistent texture that appears in several places. Or just an overall theme, however loose. It stops it feeling completely random.
Okay. And the last pitfall.
Just copying trends blindly. The whole point of dopamine decor is personal joy, so choose things because you love them, not just because you saw them on Instagram.
Got it. So if people are inspired, where can they look for help or more ideas?
Well, there are tons of resources. The sources you sent obviously point to Pinterest and Instagram for endless visual inspiration.
Good starting point.
And apps like Canva or specific mood board apps are great for actually playing around with ideas, visualizing combinations before you commit.
And for finding those unique pieces.
Well, you've got the big retailers like Hose or Wayfair for browsing, but the sources really highlight places like Etsy and eBay.
For vintage or handmade stuff?
Exactly. One-of-a-kind things that add real personality and history.
Any books or blogs worth checking out?
The sources mentioned a couple of well-known ones. Joyful by Ingrid Fittel-Lee delves into the science of why certain things make us happy. The Home Edit focuses on organization, which is still important.
Even in a colorful space.
Especially, maybe. And blogs like Apartment Therapy, Domino, The Jungalow, they constantly feature inspiring homes and practical tips in this vein.
And what about practical tools, like for paint or layout?
Yeah, lots of helpful tech there. Paint companies like Sherwin-Williams or Behr have online visualizers. There are room layout planners like Planner 5D or Room Styler.
Oh, and those AR tools?
Augmented reality, yeah.
Yeah.
IKEA's app, Amazon. They let you virtually place furniture in your actual room using your phone. Really handy.
Okay, stepping back a bit. How does this whole dopamine decor thing fit into the bigger picture of, like, wellness?
That's an interesting connection the sources make. They position it as part of this broader shift towards thinking about our homes as active contributors to our well-being. Holistic health at home.
So it connects to things like mindful living.
Yeah, being more intentional about the choices we make for our surroundings. And also, interestingly, it still connects to decluttering and mental clarity.
Even though it can look quite maximalist.
Right. It's about finding a balance. Maximalism doesn't have to mean chaos. It's about curating abundance, maybe, rather than just accumulating stuff.
And designing for experience?
Exactly. Creating spaces that don't just look a certain way, but actively support our routines, our moods, our overall well-being.
So, to wrap up, dopamine decor is basically about making our homes active players in our emotional lives.
I think that's a great summary. Using color, joy, personal meaning to consciously shape our environment.
With the hope that it enhances how we feel.
Potentially, yes. It's a celebration of self-expression, really. A reaction against maybe years of playing it safe with design.
And as the sources suggest, even small changes, small additions of things that spark joy, they can make a difference to our environment.
And maybe, just maybe, to how happy we feel in it.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener. Take a look around your own space. Does it genuinely spark joy? Does it feel like you?
And maybe, just maybe,
Yeah.
it's time to explore your own inner dopamine designer.